Hello there, friends and followers from around the world. This is Q8Pilot, your host for tonight's show. And today we are going to be doing a comparison between the Torxim and the Nimbus BN-2 2B Islander. I thought long and hard before doing this live stream. Yeah, I decided that I'm going to do this live stream, and the way we're going to do this is we're going to take a look at the Torxim Islander first. We're going to take a look at the 3D modeling, the textures, all the features, and then we will do the same. Of course, we're going to take it for a short flight and around the area. We are, by the way, at Portland International Airport. And then followed by the Nimbus Islander, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to examine the textures and all of that good stuff, and then we're going to take it for a short flight and land it back here at Portland. The aim of this comparison is really to let you guys take a look at both aircraft in close proximity and decide which one is the better aircraft. Of course, I'm going to be providing you with my thoughts and a few things that I've noticed. I will tell you now, before we begin, actually looking at the aircraft, that both aircraft are actually pretty well made in terms of the 3D model, in terms of the textures. There are a few differences between the two models. I will point those out as we go, but in the end, I'd like for you guys to decide which one is the winner of the two, for the lack of a better term. One thing that I will not be showing in this live stream is the documentation for both aircraft, but I will tell you right off the bat that the Torxim Islander has far better documentation than the Nimbus counterpart. So let us begin with the Torxim aircraft. We're going to click on Shift and F4. This is, ladies and gentlemen, the BN-2 Islander by Torxim. And what I really like about this aircraft is the exquisite 3D modeling. The 3D model and the use of PBR is simply outstanding on this aircraft. And if you look at the dimensions and the curvature here, the nose of the aircraft is spot on, is done very, very well. Just looks exactly like the real aircraft in real life. So in terms of the 3D model and the texturing, it's done very, very well. If we zoom in, and if you look at the details here inside the engines, again, pretty detailed, if you ask me. I really like what they've done here with the 3D model, and you can see the reflection here. If you're watching in full screen, you will see that the application of PBR is done well. It's not exaggerated. It looks as if this aircraft is coming out of the paint shop. And it just got a fresh paint. Looks really, really good. Quite detailed model. In every respect, I think the Torxim model, the 3D model, is done quite well. And we can see here, even if you zoom in, the attention to detail is very good. And no matter how much you zoom in, this aircraft still looks good. So let's hop into the cockpit. And as you can see, the cockpit is done just as good as the as the exterior. Very nice texturing right here. The panel work is done quite well. Application of PBR here on the dash, it looks pretty good. The representation of material is done quite well. You can see here the seats, they look pretty good. Really nice touches, nice attention to detail. A very detailed model, if you ask me. It has gone, by the way, through several updates now. So originally, when I did the first live stream on Twitch of this aircraft, it didn't really look that good. So it does look pretty good now. This is the overhead panel. Again, really nice texture work there. I really like what they've done there. Now, in terms of the sounds, so if we click here, you can see that there is a difference between the sounds and the switches. So they've spent some time on really creating that immersion environment, very immersive environment for the person flying the aircraft by really paying attention to that level of detail, which is something, of course, I do appreciate quite a bit. And it's got, of course, a control panel. It's got the headset here to kind of, quiet down the engine sounds. And it's got a control panel. So let's take a look at the control panel here. So this is quite basic, if you ask me. Nothing too sophisticated. Nothing that, like for example, the Arabesque aircraft where they have really sophisticated control panels. But, it does the job. You don't really need much more than what you see here to operate the aircraft. So I really like the fact that they've included the anti-ice equipment. And if I turn this actually off, let me show you here. It's actually modeled graphically. So if you click on the anti-ice, you can see now the anti-ice equipment has been installed on the aircraft. You can charge the batteries, you can set your fuel using the sliders, you can switch between imperial and metric units. You can use the load manager, or you can use the default X-plane weight and balance to set the aircraft fuel. And then, of course, you can toggle all the passengers on and off. And with the Torxim model, of course, this is going to affect the behavior of the aircraft. So if the weight and balance will change, the aircraft behavior will change at takeoff and landing. So yeah, it's a really nice model in my view. It's pretty well made. And then, of course, the sound. So they've paid everything you click here will make a sound, even the throttle. You can see there is a sound there. Everything you click really has a sound. Now, one thing you will have a lot of appreciation for if you like challenges is the fact that, let me just go real quick over here. Yeah, so all the circuit breakers are actually modeled in the Torxim model. So you can actually simulate lots of different failures, a combination of failures if that's what you choose to do. So then you've got that option, and you can do it right from do it right here from the circuit breakers. So overall, I think in terms of the 3D model and textures, this aircraft is done quite well. The 3D model is absolutely superb in terms of the authenticity, especially the exterior model. And if we look here at the back, again, you can see the passenger cabin. Again, in terms of the textures, the 3D modeling is done quite well, pretty crisp and clean, and quite representative of the models that I have seen on the web. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we are going to start the Islander from its cold and dark state, and we're going to take it for a short flight here around Portland International Airport. We're going to come back and land, and then we will take a look at the counterpart of this aircraft in this live stream today, which is the Nimbus Islander. All right, let me see if you guys have any questions here. All is good. Hello there, my friend from Belgium. Welcome everybody to everybody who just joined us. We have a joiner from Brazil joining the stream today. Welcome from Brazil. Germany, Senegal. Welcome everybody. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to start the aircraft now, and let's see here. This is on battery. External supply is on. Left battery and right. We're going to turn on the nav lights and the beacon lights. The mixture is already on full rich, and the RPM props are on full forward. We're going to crack the throttle just a bit here, and we're going to set this one right here. We're going to turn on the fuel pumps. Nice sounds again with the fuel pumps, and right mags, left mags, and let's go ahead and start the right engine first. There we go, and we have a good start on the right engine, and we're going to do the same for the left engine. The left engine did not start. Oh, that's not the right thing there, is it? There we go. All right. So the sounds are actually, I really like the sounds on the Torxim model. Welcome, my friends from Israel, from the UK, and from Texas, the United States of America. Welcome to this live stream. You guys are right in time for our departure out of Portland. One thing you'll also notice in the Torxim model is the needle vibrations here. You can see here, and you can turn this off, by the way, if you don't like it. Let's turn on the avionics. This goes to battery, and we're going to turn off the external supply, and all is looking good now. We can turn on cabin, passenger, and we can leave the landing lights right after we reach the runway. Okay, so let's bring back the yokes, and let's do the check. Full up, full right, full left, full right, pedal press. Look at that. Just look at the details here. That is absolutely phenomenal. Really, really nice. Very well made. Okay. So, I don't really have a clue where exactly we are relative to the runway. So let me just take a look here to see where we are. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just turn this way, and we're going to head over here and take off. All right. Cool. Parking brake released. I am, by the way, using XP Realistic, and that's the shake. There is the shake. So if you look at the control panel here, right. So this shake here, the vibrations, that's the vibration of the needles. So if you turn this off, it will turn off the shaking of the needles here. All right, there we go. Hello from New York. Welcome, my friend. A warm regards to everyone from New York. What's the weather like in New York today? It was very, very humid and extremely hot here in Kuwait. I wonder what's the temperature like in New York today. I really like the engine sounds. Very, very immersive sounds. And according to what I've read about the aircraft, it's recorded from the real aircraft. That's what I read somewhere, I think. Barbados, welcome, my friend. 90 degrees, yeah, that's all right, I guess. Not too bad. Yeah, here in Kuwait it was about 120, 121 degrees. So we got torched again. The summers are very hot in Kuwait. So yeah, I really like this scenery as well of Portland International. You know what, guys? Let's take a look at the exterior here. Yeah, just look at that. Looks really, really good. Exterior sounds are nice as well. Captain Abdurrahim, welcome to the stream, my friend. And hello from the Netherlands. Welcome to the stream, my friend. All right, here we go. Let's turn on the landing lights. So far, so good. By the way, on the 3D modeling and the texture work, I rate the Torxim model a 9 out of 10. Just because there are a few areas where you know, the aircraft could use some work, but yeah, overall it's pretty good. All right, here we go. We're ready to go. Now you can see the panels clearly, the color of the panels here. Very, very well made. Really like, you know, what I see here. I'm sure you guys agree that the, you know, all this rust around the gauges and the scratches on the panel look absolutely phenomenal. Very, very good work. I actually am looking forward to the SR22, which is going to be released by Torxim this coming Saturday, according to the news feed on the Q8Pilot Discord. All right, here we go. All right, we are cleared for departure, and let's go. We're going to rotate at about 70 knots or so. Nice engine sounds. 70 knots, rotate. It was a bit abrupt there as I pulled on the yoke. Tell you, this aircraft wants to fly. What we're going to do is we're going to make a left turn and fly parallel to the airport and head back to the airport then and land. Hello, my friend from Poland. Welcome to the stream. Sounds are good. The aircraft is very, very fluid, as you can see here. Very fluid aircraft. Flies really well. Right, let's make a turn here. And we don't really want to fly too fast. And by the way, this is the latest X-Plane 11 beta, which is beta 16, I believe. It came out, I believe, last night. Not exactly sure when it came out, but I was notified last night. There's actually an airport here where we can land. But before we do so, I'm going to just idle the power here and pitch up. 80, 70 knots, 60, and that's about right, yeah. Very nice indeed. So overall, I think the Torxim model flies well. It's modeled well, and it behaves accurately, at least according to the manual that ships with it. So everything that the manual says the aircraft does, in terms of, you know, stall speed, performance, and things like that. This is, by the way, the airport. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go past the airport and then make a right turn, left turn, beg your pardon, and head back to the airport and land. Yes, you should use full throttle after stall, and you should pitch down a little bit. But we are actually pretty close to the ground, and I don't want to hit the ground. Yeah, looking forward to MSFS 2020 on August 18. Yeah, likewise. Now you guys know that I'm in the closed beta. So things are actually looking pretty good for MSFS 2020. Although I can't really say that much about it still. Still under the the embargo, or whatever, the NDA. So we can't really say much about it. But yeah, everything is looking in tip-top shape for their release. Of course, there will be issues, just like any other sim. But yeah, it definitely is looking pretty good. Do you use special scenery? This scenery is so the I have the Orbex True Earth region for this in this live stream, and the airport, I think it's the Flight Beam Airport for X-Plane. All right, we're gonna go ahead and land here. I'm just gonna make a turn, and then we have sufficient runway to land the aircraft. So here's what we'll do. We're gonna idle the power. Okay, so this is the Torxim model. Flies well, modeled well, reasonably good documentation. Everything is very well documented in this model. I give this aircraft the final score of 9 out of 10. All right, let's go ahead and park the aircraft, and then we're going to load the Nimbus model, and we're going to take a look at the Nimbus model. So far, yeah, I definitely give this aircraft a final score of 9 out of 10, but I want you guys to tell me which one of the two, at the end of the stream, of course, which one is the model that you prefer the most based on what you've seen in the live stream. I've got two SSDs. They're both M.2 SSDs, and they are both 1 terabyte in size. One of them I use exclusively for X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator, Alpha, of course, at this point, or Beta. And I use the other one for the operating system. And then I have a hard drive, a regular hard drive, where I install all the rest of the stuff. But on the SSDs, on the M.2 SSDs, I have only the OS on one of them, and I have only the Flight Simulator on the second SSD. All right, I think that's good enough here. Let's stop the aircraft, and we're going to bring it. Again, I really like the sounds. They're very well thought of and very well made for this aircraft, and I like the fact that they are different. So the different switches will make different sounds, which increases the level of immersion in the aircraft. So what we're going to do now, folks, is we are going to kill those engines. All right. And we are going to load. Let me just turn everything off here. Okay. So we're good now. Let's go ahead and load the Nimbus model, which is right here. And let's see, I don't know which livery you guys like. There's the factory paint, there's British Airways. Which one do you guys prefer? Okay, let us take, I want to pick something just to show, because the Nimbus texturing is done quite well. So I do want to show you something. Actually, paint in progress is not bad. You know what? Let's go ahead and pick the British Airways livery. All right, start new. Now, as far as Microsoft Flight Simulator is concerned, I know I have received numerous emails, messages on Discord if I was going to do, videos on Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I know there are others out there who, continue to... I know Us Flight Simmer, my buddy Shane, has done a phenomenal job with keeping the flight sim community informed about just about every update that came out for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And he would take, footage from the insider site, coupled with, some other footage from what Microsoft has released. And then he actually talks about the updates. Very, very nice. They're very short, very concise. But unfortunately, I'm unable to do this. I'm unable to speak about the sim in any way because of the NDA. So, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Nimbus model. Now, the first thing you will notice is that the texturing is done phenomenal job with the texture work. In my view, the texture work on the Nimbus model is done better than the Torxim model, at least on the livery. So we're talking here at the livery level, and these are all liveries that ship with the aircraft. So you can see the details here on the tail, down here on the wing. It looks, to me, it looks a little more realistic than the Torxim model. So in terms of texturing, definitely the Nimbus model wins in terms of textures. However, what is very important to note is this here. So after very careful examination of the real aircraft, I found that the Torxim 3D model, the curvature of the nose, is slightly more accurate than the Nimbus model. Okay, so this curvature here, this one is pretty close as well, but the Torxim model is slightly more accurate in terms of how they've modeled the curvature. As far as the details, again, you can see the engine details here, you can see the props, the blades are modeled quite well. The landing gear area is slightly better modeled on the Torxim model than it is here on the Nimbus model. If we go, for example, here in the back of the landing gear, let me see if I can put C here and take you guys down to, ooh, that's too much, right there. Okay, let's see here. There. So again, as you can see here, it's still pretty good. It's modeled pretty well. It doesn't really matter that much because, I mean, how many times would you actually go and look at the landing gear that close? But in terms of the finesse, in terms of the final finish, again, you can look here at the exhaust. The Torxim model is modeled better in my view, slightly, not by a large margin. So 3D modeling, Torxim wins. Texture work, Nimbus wins. Documentation, Torxim wins. And we're going to see about the sounds and everything else. So this is the exterior model again, just for you to see. I really like all the the texturing on the windshield here. Everything is done quite well in terms of the 3D model, other than the few things that I've mentioned. But yeah, I think in terms of the texture, this is okay. Now, one thing I do want to show you is this part here. You see the application of PBR in my view, the Torxim model wins in terms of the application of PBR. This one doesn't look very realistic. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if you get my point, but if you view this in full screen, you'll see that there are some, imperfections that are unrealistic. So imperfections can be very realistic, but those are, not very realistic in my view. Some of them are, like this one here, they're fine. But yeah, lots of attention to details again. The Torxim 3D model wins by a very slim margin. But yeah, that is the exterior model. Now, we are going to move to the interior, Shift and 9. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, the 3D virtual cockpit of the Nimbus BN-2 Islander. Now, I do like this this cockpit a lot. I like what they've done in terms of the texture work, but maybe personally, I like the Torxim model slightly more than I like this one. Mainly due to the fact that they have a little more detail, so it is kind of, more immersive sitting in that cockpit. What do you guys think? I mean, I'll be happy to listen to your thoughts and let me know what you guys think. But I think this one is, it's still pretty good. It's still high resolution. It's still pretty slick. And one thing you will notice is that the curve here is done slightly better than the Torxim model. Okay, so this one is more representative of what you would see in the real aircraft than the Torxim model. So give and take, I think the two aircrafts are pretty much at par with one another. So there isn't really much of a difference in terms of the quality, in terms of the final finish and the finesse of those developers. Really, job well done by both. So far, I have a softer side for softer. I like the Torxim model a little more than I like the Nimbus model. But let's go ahead now. And by the way, the passenger cabin here is fully modeled as well, and it's got passengers as well. Seats are done quite well. Again, I kind of like the Torxim model slightly more than this. If we look here at the rudder pedals, as you can see here, the movement, what we saw in the Torxim model is slightly more sophisticated than what we see here in the Nimbus model. Overall, both I think are very good aircraft. Yeah, the Torxim cockpit I felt is more realistic. This one has a little bit of a cartoonish look to it. I don't know if you guys agree. Maybe the colors are too vivid, and maybe that is the reason why it looks this way. Now the Nimbus model has a control panel that you can access here on the left side of the screen, and it's got the full checklist here. You can cycle through and follow the exact checklist for more realism as you start the aircraft. And it's got also a maintenance hangar, if you will, and you can opt for an always like new aircraft, or that the aircraft would tear and wear with time. And simply, if you just want to fix something, so if you want to fix the filters, you just click here and then you go to 100%. So it's a nice addition. It definitely increases the level of immersion. How realistic this is, as far as wear and tear versus time, I really cannot comment on that. But in my test, I think this is a very rudimentary maintenance hangar, just to kind of give you guys a little extra kick as you as you fly and land the aircraft. Yeah, I like what they've done there. Now this little guy is is something in my review video. I mentioned that I'm not exactly sure what purpose it serves. So if I move the yoke, you can see it, and it would stay there. So if we go to external view, you could still see, the yoke movement as well as the throttle movement. How useful this is, I don't know. To me, it's not useful. I probably will never use it, but it's there if you guys, want to use it, you can. Performance data is, again, available here in the Torxim model. All the performance data is available in the manuals, and they're quite detailed. Weight and balance, again, very similar to what the Torxim model offers. However, this one is, from an interface perspective, I think it looks a little bit better. The choice of colors, maybe. It's easier on the eye. And I do, by the way, look at these things. I'm very interested in UI and UX. So user interface and user experience is something that I've been researching for quite some time. So there is actually a lot in that field. It's a very deep field, and colors actually matter, and what combination of colors for the user experience. And there's actually research that tells you certain color combinations will make the user actually click on a certain spot and things like that. So, not the subject of this live stream. I kind of digressed there. Sorry about that. But the weight and balance part of the control panel in the Nimbus Islander gives you the ability to, again, to toggle the fuel or change the fuel in your tanks. You can add and remove passengers visually, kind of similar to what we've seen in the Torxim model. You can also set the pilot and passenger visibility, which is good. Some people like it, some people don't. Normally, I just like to keep everything off in terms of pilot and passenger visibility. And then, last but not least, we can click down here for the static elements and the aircraft doors and accessories. So we can click here simply to toggle the static element, left engine cover, cargo doors, and so on and so forth. So all of that good stuff is there. There's the control lock. You can toggle all of this from within the control panel. Now, in terms of the control panel, I think they both offer the same thing. If we completely ignore the look and feel and the actual design of the user interface, they pretty much offer the same thing. One thing the Nimbus model offers is this little guy, which is, to me, not very useful. But then it does not have the anti-ice equipment. So the Nimbus model doesn't have it. The Torxim model has it. And by the way, those two aircraft are both sold at $34.95. That was at least the listed price when I looked at both of them last night. So $34.95 for so exactly the same price. And maybe so far up to this point, personally, I think the Torxim model wins by a very slim margin. So maybe like 0.5 more than the, I reviewed this aircraft before and it received an 8.5 in my review, which is the silver award. And that would put the Torxim at the gold award as a payware aircraft. Hello there, Pilot Peely. Hello, my friend. How are you doing? Yeah, so typo there in the UI, it should say accessory. You are absolutely right. Yeah. Okay, so the time has come, ladies and gentlemen, to do exactly what we did. By the way, in terms of frame rates, they're pretty much the same. So there is no, the amount of FPS used by the Islander, and that's just a test that I've done outside the stream. Both actually, in terms of resources, they will consume exactly the same amount of resources. So there's maybe like an FPS, 1 FPS, or 2 FPS at best difference between the two. So in terms of performance, really it's a close call. It still is in all respect. Between the two aircraft, it's a very close call. So Let's go ahead and start the aircraft. We're going to make sure this is on the right gen, and we're going to turn on. Now, one thing you'll notice is the sounds of the switches is exactly the same for all the switches in the Nimbus model, whereas in the Torxim model, the sounds of the switches differs from one switch to the other. Also, in the Nimbus model, the circuit breakers aren't modeled, whereas in the Torxim model, they are. So again, I've done some research on this, and I'll tell you that there is a very small number of people actually care about the circuit breakers altogether. But for those who are specifically interested in circuit breakers and modeling certain failures, then they would find this in the Torxim model, not in the Nimbus model. Okay, so I think that's worthwhile mentioning. And let's put the mixture on full rich. We're going to crack the throttle here a bit. External supply, and we are going to move up here, turn the fuel pump. Nice sounds again as far as the fuel pump. And let's see here. Right, mags are on, and we're going to begin with the left engine, and nice sounds, really nice sounds. Right, let's just give it a little bit of power here. All right, and we're going to start the right engine. There we go. Very nice sounds on the Nimbus. I kind of like the engine sounds on the Nimbus model slightly better, to be completely honest with you guys. But what do you guys think? Which one is better, the Nimbus or the Torxim? All right, let's see where we are here. Are we in the same spot? We sure are, yeah. All right, let's release the parking brake. I absolutely adore the sounds on the Nimbus model. Very nice sounds, very immersive. And you have the same vibration here, the needles, so you get that here as well. Very immersive aircraft, and the Islander, generally speaking, the Islander is a really nice aircraft to fly. Okay. We need to turn on nav lights. Actually, let's turn on all the lights. That's fine. Yeah. And let's switch to external view. Now, you would probably never see a British Airways Islander at Portland, but yeah, I think the details of the textures show quite nicely on this livery. So gotta love that. Looks pretty good. Yeah, it does sound really good. Yes, with the Nimbus, they are. I think the engine sounds on the Nimbus is slightly better. The engine sounds. So yeah, I do like the sounds a lot. The engine sounds a lot on the Nimbus model. Very immersive. Very realistic. Even if it does not match the real aircraft, engine sounds, I think it still really sounds very good. So we are about to take off, and we're going to do exactly what we did with the Torxim. So we're just going to fly, make a left turn, fly parallel to the airport, and make another left turn, and then land the aircraft. Did you ever consider sharing your XP realistic preset on the new cloud section? I am not using anything other than the default impressive preset for Lua. So all you need to do is download the latest version of Xvision, the version that works with X-Plane 11.5, and just use the impressive preset for Lua, and you will get exactly the same results that I get. I'm not using anything. I haven't really made any tweaks to it or any changes to it whatsoever. I'm just really using the default preset there. All right, here we go. You know, I'll tell you, I noticed that with the Nimbus model, there's absolutely no stuttering. There was a little bit of stutter with the Torxim model, but then it could be the scenery and not the aircraft. So yeah. I think I agree with Wesley there. Was it Wesley? Mr. Johnson. Yeah, I do agree that visually the Torxim model looks more authentic based on the based on what I've seen. The 3D model itself is done very, very well. Actually, it's impressive how close they modeled the aircraft to the real thing. But the Nimbus model isn't bad either. I mean, for the ordinary person who just wants to fly the aircraft, it wouldn't really make that much of a difference as far as the 3D modeling. But yeah, the texturing definitely looks better on the Nimbus, though, in my view. The 3D model, Torxim wins. Cockpit, probably Torxim wins as well. Yeah. All right, let's go. Those engine sounds are absolutely gorgeous. Oh, avionics, yeah. Actually, avionics is on, but we need the transponder. There. Ooh. All right, there we go. Rotate. Listen to those sounds, ladies and gentlemen. Now that sounds like a real aircraft. I tell you, I'll give it that. It sounds really, really good. The sounds are sweet for sure. Very nice. All right, here we go. Brilliant. The sounds are definitely much, much better on the Nimbus model. I may buy this because of this. Yeah, that's something I think developers have got to pay attention to. The sounds is something that is very, very important in an aircraft for flight simulation, because the visuals is one thing, and the sounds is another thing that to me is a deal breaker, because the sounds will give you that level of immersion that you feel that you're really listening or hearing real aircraft engine sounds. Just really, really the sounds are phenomenal. Really nice. Now the aircraft itself is pretty fluid, if you ask me. Again, we can do right turn, we can do left turn, very fluid. It's really nice. Look at those vibrations here. Very nice indeed. Very immersive. Some really nice touches really on this model. And that's again the engine view here. Looks pretty good in my view. Yeah, overall, I think the sounds on the The engine sounds of the Nimbus model are better. The cockpit sounds, or the overall cockpit ambience in the Torxim model, I think the Torxim model probably wins there in the cockpit ambience, the look and feel as well. But the engine sounds, I think it's a no contest. The Nimbus model really wins. I'm going to go ahead and bring power back, and we're going to do the same thing, and let's see when does this aircraft stall. We should hear the warning. There we go. It's a bit early, but yeah, okay. Pretty good aircraft. I really like this aircraft a lot. And I like the Islander a lot. Both of them. Both models are quite nice in my view. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We are going to head back now to the airport and land. Runway 10 left. And welcome back to Portland International Airport, folks. I'll tell you, in terms of flying both aircraft, the Torxim and the Nimbus model, I really can't say that I have a preferred aircraft. Of the two, they pretty much fly the same. You know, there isn't really a difference. You feel the you feel the heaviness of the aircraft. They are both extremely fluid. The stall warning is more accurately, I think, represented in the Torxim model, at least according to the manuals. So I haven't flown, of course, an Islander before, but according to what I read in the manuals, the stall warning sign came at the right time, or let's say more accurately, in the Torxim model than on the Nimbus model. So overall, in my view, the Torxim model gets a 9 out of 10. That's my final rating of the Torxim model, and the Nimbus model gets an 8.5 out of 10. I'd like to listen to you guys now and tell me what do you guys think? Which one is the winner of the two? And yeah, I'd like to, and if you can tell me why. So where do you think either model has excelled over the other one? I believe my point of view is the Torxim 3D modeling, the exterior, the interior, the authenticity of the model is spot on, and I think that's where it actually supersedes or exceeds the quality of the Nimbus model. On the control panel and the features, they are pretty much the same. However, we've seen that there is the anti-ice equipment on the Torxim model, which is not available in the Nimbus model. In terms of sounds, the cockpit ambient switches sounds is better on the Torxim model, but the engine sounds are better on the Nimbus model. So, and last but not least, of course, the documentation. So the documentation, I will tell you right off the bat that the Torxim model has far better documentation, very, very detailed, and there's actually a lot more that you can learn about the aircraft itself, reading through the Torxim documentation. So let's kill those engines, and I'm going to take a look at what you guys have to say here. There we go. All right, so engines are turned off, and we are going to just kind of put the view here on beautiful Portland, and I'll take a few questions. And all right, so from Jake, Jake says that the Torxim overall accuracy, everything seems better, but the sounds. I think that's probably a very fair assessment, Jake. I think I would probably tend to agree with you there. I prefer the cockpit textures in the Torxim, so that the winner is for me. Yep, I think I will second that. That yeah, the textures, the cockpit textures in the Torxim model is done slightly better in my view as well. So I agree with you there. Someone have word with Torxim and steal Nimbus. Yeah, you know, I'll tell you guys, I have one thought on that. I have seen in the flight sim community in general, so this is not something new, something I have seen over and over and over. I've seen two developers develop exactly the same aircraft, and in fact the launch comes like within weeks of each other. I've seen developers develop exactly the same scenery, same airport, and they kind of compete with one another. And then, you know, you as a consumer and a flight sim hobbyist, you know, you'd wait probably for somebody to buy the aircraft. You'll go to maybe AvSim or Discord or wherever to start, you know, hearing out what people say about the different models, and then try to, you know, make up your mind based on the comments. Or you'd come to the Q8Pilot channel for a review, right? So yeah, and that's what I really enjoy doing. I really enjoy helping you guys make decisions before you buy any add-on. I've honestly quit doing P3D because I'm just, you know, I'm done with P3D. I'm not doing any more P3D videos, and that is something I've made very clear. But over the course of my YouTube career, I have seen developers develop add-ons that are exactly the same. So we've seen, I think, Coronado and I can't recall the aircraft. What was it? I really can't recall which aircraft it was, but you'll see this more in the scenery than the aircraft. But again, with the aircraft as well, you'll see a lot of different developers developing the same add-on. Now, there are two things to be considered here, and I hope that if there are any developers out there, that they would take this comment to heart. This is not a criticism, but rather, you know, a kind of a constructive criticism, if you will. I think developers ought to create some sort of a forum where they actually discuss their projects. They don't need to, you know, once they have a firm idea, is that they post it, by the way, I am going to be developing this specific aircraft. Now, this is good in two ways. One is that it will definitely kill the fact that, you know, there's another developer maybe thinking of the same thing. So he would probably shift his attention elsewhere to another aircraft, and they have to come to an agreement that if it's my idea first, then you let me do it. Or even better, if I have an idea that matches someone else's, then maybe we can collaborate and make even a better add-on. So the fact that, you know, developers do not talk to one another, yeah, you will have probably 2 islanders, 2 Airbuses, but how is that going to help, you know, the flight sim community? I think it would help more if you had variety. So if I know, for example, Melvis is developing a King Air, I would go and develop a Cessna, right? And then you would see there's another thing. Of course, the same thing goes for scenery, yeah? Again, developers can collaborate with one another. I mean, let's unite. Let this community unite with one another instead of being segregated. Another thing that you will see quite a bit is the fact that there are an abundance of one specific model. So like a Cessna 172 or a Cessna 182, you'll find so many Cessnas coming out. And just imagine if the efforts of all those developers over the years have been combined to build one, you know, study level Cessna for X-Plane or for P3D or for any flight sim for that matter. I think that would be a much better thing to do than to have so many of these aircraft. All right, I'll take a few more questions. I just really wanted to share those thoughts with you guys. You may or may not agree with me. I just feel it's the fitting thing to do. If not for the sounds and textures, I would choose Torxim now. I don't know what to choose anymore. Yeah, that could happen too. I will tell you this, guys. I have one doubt. Do you review scenery too, like freeware? I used to do scenery. I used to review scenery a lot when I started the channel. I stopped doing scenery reviews because doing a scenery review is, you know, is quite difficult, to be very honest. So I can definitely show you screenshots and tell you the scenery looks pretty good. But then when you compare it to real life, it is very seldom the same. For most sceneries, by the way, that I've seen, there are very few exceptions. Orbex is phenomenal when it comes to details, but they still don't get it 100% right. And then the scenery, the rate at which scenery comes out is far more than, you know, aircraft. You'll get airports every day. So it's very difficult to review sceneries. The other thing is why I don't do as much scenery now. I normally do cinematics when there's a really good scenery out, or sometimes, to be very honest with you guys, some of the developers would come and tell me, could you like do a showcase of our scenery? And I try to help them, you know, spread the word out, because a lot of these developers actually don't have a venue to market their product. But of course, as it is always the case, and you can ask the developers yourselves, I always make sure that I purchase, even if I wanted to do a cinematic, I purchase the airport myself for 2 reasons. One is I do want to support the developer. I do want to support his cause or her cause. That's one. And 2, I want to make sure that whatever I do, or if I do a good job with the cinematic, or if I do a bad job, I wouldn't feel guilty myself. You know, I wouldn't feel that I haven't done this product justice. I bought it. I can do whatever I want with it. So if it doesn't come as good, I still purchased it. I still showed support to the developer. I still, put it there on the channel for you guys to see. So I think, yeah, I've done him some service. At least that's the way I think about it. Let me take a few more questions here. Let's see here. One thing that made consider Nimbus is the outside sound. I prefer Torxim on all other attributes. Yes, I totally agree with you there, Wesley. I think you're spot on there. Thank you very much for this movie. I was waiting for it a lot. Well, I'm very glad that you, I hope that you've enjoyed the show. 26 pound for the Nimbus, not bad. Yeah, the price is the same, by the way, guys. I think it's $34.95 for both models. I think at least that's the last time I looked, they were priced exactly the same. And there is very, very, very different. The difference is very slim between the two. So there is a very slim margin where I believe the Torxim wins. But then again, if the sounds are big for you, then you might want to consider the Nimbus model because of the engine sounds. They're just really phenomenal, as you have witnessed here on the stream. Well, folks, this is really what I wanted to share with you. I just wanted to say one more thing before we conclude our show tonight. Well, it's night here in Kuwait. Is that I thought very long and hard before doing this live stream. In fact, those of you who are members of the channel and are joined to my Discord server, I've let you guys know that I was not going to be doing this as a video. I thought about it, and I said, let me do this as a live stream where people actually can come in and they can see for themselves and they can decide for themselves. My rating is my rating, so it remains to be very subjective. But between 8.5 and a 9, you can see that the difference is marginal. So there isn't really much, that much of a difference between the two models. And by all means, if money is not an issue, go ahead and buy both models. Buy both models, enjoy both of them, fly both of them, try them, and I wish you all happy flying, and I wish our community prosperity, growth, and I hope that all the toxic elements of this community fades away and goes away, because there's a lot of it. And the more you dig deep into the backstage, if you will, you'll find some really ugliness, which really is something that bothers me personally. But there's very little I can do about it other than just tell you guys to be tolerant of one another. Be happy for the success of someone. I'm very happy, for example, for my good friend Shane. He's been really having phenomenal success with his channel. His, the growth has been phenomenal, and he's been putting a lot of hard work. So this has not come in easy. So I really hope that, we unite more than divide. Because I think this is a very small niche hobby. There isn't really a lot of people that that are into flight simulation, although it has been growing over the years. I really hope that we can be more tolerant, more loving to one another. Really, that is something I really want to stress out, guys. On the A350 video, I've received a couple of really bad comments, and sometimes I don't understand. Is people ignorance that they don't know, or what triggers this? What triggers the hate comments? I don't get it. But I really hope the best for this community. With Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 coming out, I hope that this is going to unite us more rather than divide us. I'd like to see people actually enjoying and pointing out the good things in this sim and that sim, instead of really bashing the entire company and the developers and everybody who uses a particular sim. We're all humans. Yeah, we have at least that in common, which is much bigger than the differences in our hobbies or our languages or nationalities. So the fact that we're all human beings is something to celebrate, and something that should bring us closer together. I don't want to keep rambling on you guys, but I feel very passionate about flight simulation, about aviation, and I feel very passionate about really sharing all my thoughts, all my knowledge, everything I learn, and even my hard-earned cash with this community. That is something I honestly enjoy doing from the bottom of my heart. And I want to wish you all a very good night or a good morning, depending on where you are in this big world. And until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other. And I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye for now.